My name is Neil MacLeod Matheson. I'm the whisky maker here at Torabhaig, and obviously my background is in whisky. I have a family background where members of my family have perhaps worked in the whisky industry over the last 125 years, but I came into it through the general spirits world, where I worked with cognacs, armagnacs, rums, and whiskies, but I ended up a whisky maker. Torabhaig is the second distillery on Skye. That's the second that we know about, because obviously in the last couple of hundred years there may well have been illicit stills here and there on the islands. And we chose Torabhaig because it's part of my heritage, but we also found a great site, a historic building that we could bring back to life, and also enough water to make a good quality whisky. Torabhaig is one of the Gaelic versions of the area here, and it simply means the hill that overlooks the bay, Tor being hill. In reality, there's no V in the Gaelic language until later years. So we took the BH spelling of Torabhaig to use in the name. So we would pronounce it Torabhaig. The building is an old square steading. These were the old farmhouses where everybody lived, the animals lived, and the people lived on the farm. And it was a traditional closed steading with a large gate for getting in and out. And this suited us because the four arms of the building were quite easy for us to convert into the aspects of distilling and the element of hospitality that we have here. But obviously we need a still room, we need a fermenting area, we need grain stores, and we need to hold our finished spirit. So the building in itself is not quite large enough for all of that. Well, there's always issues with putting new equipment into old buildings. The old building here gave us a little bit of a fright in the first 6 months of the restoration, because it looked like it was going to fall apart. So we had to do quite a lot of restoration work on the actual building fabric before we could bring the distilling equipment in. And because of the historic listing of the building, it was quite interesting. We were allowed access through one opening that we made at the far end of the building from where we're sitting now. And everything had to come in the correct order through that single opening. So the spirit tanks had to come in first, then the stills, and then the washbacks, and then the mash tun, and then the mill, and then the grain store. They all had to come in the right order at the right time in order to fit in. It'd be very difficult to take it all out. And what we realized early on is that the still necks are probably going to be the first thing to go. So we actually built in a roof that we can deslate and then take the roof out in a certain portion in order that we can lift the stills in and out. Well, the liquid is, of course, marvellous whisky, which comes in reality with a flavour profile that I feel fits the distillery. There are many stories about peaty, smoky whiskies from the islands. And we chose for our core flavour profile to make a smoky whiskey. But I think that one of the difficult things was anticipating what the flavour profile would be like from the stills that would actually fit into the building. And with an old building converted to a new distillery, obviously there was nobody who could tell us exactly what that flavour profile would be, because the shape and size of everything is unique. So it was a professional gamble that we took in order to produce the, I suppose, what we call it, well-mannered profile of smoke that goes into what we call our well-tempered peat. When we first started, we thought we knew that to make I suppose, the whisky element and the part of the countryside that we inhabit come together, we thought that the community spirit would be part of what we were going to do. So, not uniquely, but rather naively perhaps, we thought that we would try to employ only local people. And we didn't mind whether they had even an interest in whisky when they came to interview. We just wanted to see if they were interested in coming to work for us and working in the way that we were going to suggest that this would take place. And we were very fortunate. Almost everybody who came in that first couple of weeks got a job here, and many of them became distillers. The Isle of Skye, it's a fantastic place. Geographically and story-wise, it's the home of two of the most famous clans of Scotland, the MacLeods and the MacDonalds. It's the home of many of the Munros, which are the mountains of Scotland. We have the Black Cuillins and Red Cuillins, which look down on us from the main part of the island. It's, I suppose, very well visited by tourists, is one way to put it. We have perhaps 7,500 inhabitants, and we receive almost 1 million visitors during the year. Well, we're looking forward to developing the full flavour of the whiskies that we have. As a new distillery, it's a journey for us. It's a guess as to how they will develop. So each year we are very keen on opening a multiple sets of the different barrels that we've laid down, just to see how the spirit is developing. Obviously, some of it is aimed at the ideal of a 10 or 12-year-old Torabhaig being the core product of the future. And a lot of the efforts that we go to at the moment are around trying to envisage how that flavour will develop. I think that one of the important things about our distillery here, and one of the reasons that the distillers who came on board make it so exciting for us, is that we've engendered a family. There's a real feeling of community here, and a lot of the people who work here, are invested with us in the future of the whisky brand, not just the jobs that we provide, but they're all fantastically interested in the flavour of the whisky and how it's developing over the 3 years, 4 years that we've actually sold some whisky. At the age of 7, we have 3 or 4 years to go before we will have what most of the whisky world presumes to be mature whisky. And we hope that they'll all still be with us as these flavours develop. And we make them join in with us. We truly say to them, what do you think of the development each year? So that we get the opinion of the people on site, which is very valuable to us.